Time for the State of the Union. See if the Wi-Fi works here. So I was like, well, what a good day, 4th of July. It didn't feel right, so the next day, 7/5, and then there it was. It's the full moon, and all those planets are aligning. Not the children's planets, but obviously the electromagnetic sky that's around us. People don't believe in that. Just go ask the police and the nurses. They're gonna be extra busy again, always. So it's just an extension, projection of your body in this whole design. Lyft had a crazy promotion, $750 for 80 trips in 72 hours. I was like, damn. I thought about it, but it's just ridiculous. So, what are you ever gonna do? You ever remember, like, oh, that weekend and I just worked and got all that money? And it's always the experiences and memories and stories. So that's what your life really is. Just always remind yourself of that. You have these duties and obligations, and you got to pay the bills and all that. None of it really just takes care of itself in the end. Just listening to Max Egan just going off, calling everyone every name in the book, but everything that came out of his mouth, that was his solution. He just didn't know it. Or these politicians and news reporters, they need to be hung and put in jail and arrested. And why are you fueling that with your intentions? You're paying attention to that. That's your own. You create your own problems. That's on you, bud. You can have a world where you're just constantly complaining about the media and about the politicians. Is that the rest of your existence? It's already shown you what it does. It's all it can do. It's all it will ever do. So it's time for a solution. It's time for the 666s, the man, to start coming up with some solutions. That group 99% versus the 1%, yeah, it seems pretty easy, doesn't it? If there's just that few amount of people are doing all this bad stuff, but we've already broken that down, right? Because there's 80% that just have no interest in any of that whatsoever. They'll do anything. But yeah, maybe I'll put this video in that group. There's like 70,000 people in there. Yeah, that's not what that's. It's really the 19% that can think. And we got that 1% elite putting on that show, and for the 80%, they're always going to be children. That's the real percentage breakdown for that. So if you're still in that mindset that show is going to give you some remedy, forget it. You're the dummy. It will not. What's the real population control? Is that part of it? I see people are now actually getting sick from the hypercapnia and the hypoxia. Maybe. The second wave, we talked about that, and I was thinking, like, where else did I see that pattern? And then I was like, oh yeah, my dissertation work, I was using this test called visually evoked potential. And the stimulus is a checkerboard, little black and white squares, and then they reverse from black to white, and that creates the strongest sensory visual stimulus. You can measure that, but there's the first little one, nobody pays attention to that one, at 75 milliseconds, but then the big one's the 100, the peak, 100 milliseconds, and then it goes down, and there's another little one after that. So that's just our waves again. So it's gearing up for something. I put in second wave into the, there's a lot of interesting stuff. It's like a time to rebuild. Stuff's being torn down right now. You can feel it energetically. People's thoughts are adjusting to that. But that seems to be what it trends towards, that there's a new creation coming in. So again, that's just, you're going to be afraid of that and scared of all that. And, is there going to be a population wipeout? No, because we know everything that goes out comes back in. It's one collective beehive, behave mind that works together. There's nothing that is out there that's not you. and vice versa. But just thinking about how like concerned we are about our fellow man, that they're just unable to think, that they don't have that capability. That was in that group that I studied down there, because civilization came in, right, knocking on the door down there, and they were just living naturally in the woods, and they, the cover story, they were exposed to these germs and these bacteria, and that's why they all died and got sick. But even when I was writing that, 8 years ago, I was like, because I was questioning germ theory then, but it was just too much to like think about. I think I alluded to it in there, but they were stressing themselves out, right? Because there's the big Babylonian system, anthropologists coming in there, disrupting their way of life. So they were freaking themselves out. That's why they got sick and died. I mean, it was pretty horrific, the stories. I put a few of them in there. It's online, New Mexico digital database since 2016. But there were flocks of the birds, that were following the troop around because they were eating them. When they would fall behind, couldn't keep up, they would even bury the older ones alive as they kept moving in the forest, because the birds, the carrion, or they would come and peck their eyes out. So it was better to be buried alive than to have that happen. When the parents die in that type of an environment, it's that the children, if someone doesn't step up and say, I'm going to take care of that child, they will kill that child. And when all that was going on, they interviewed the anthropologists before me that worked there for 50 years now, came up on a dead woman, and her 13-year-old daughter was healthy, and he chased her down and strangled her in front of his 13-year-old child. And they were just talking about it, and just, they were apologizing. They didn't know what they were doing. That was just the elders were telling them that's the policy in that tribe. So, yeah, I mean, these are human capabilities, these behaviors, to manifest all that trauma, and it can go that way. There are a few other stories in there that gives you some insight into human, real human capability when we're afraid. We don't know what's going on, right? So that's our job, That's why we stepped up to take this message a little bit, and now the next step. You don't have to worry about who's doing what, they're all in the same pictures together. Trump's friends with, it's one big acting troupe. That's what they do. They put on a show. If you worry about that, and you're a child. And that's why you need the show. So, had they ever done an alien invasion before? Oh, yeah. 1938, Orson Welles on the radio told everybody Martians landed. Everybody went nuts, went apeshit, went Aceh style. Had their guns and get ready to shoot their neighbors, and it's nothing new under the sun. People knew about germ theory 100 years ago. They still pulled off the Spanish flu. Boo! Disease is spreading. So it's always around. It's in the script. So we can't. It's not just a matter of informing everyone. Hey, you can't actually catch a disease. Did you know that? They don't care. That's just. It's not the way they're made. The acid and base. Everyone's always, this food, it breaks down to alkaline. This, this is acidic, and that's always bad. But the body has different pHs and different tissues, by design. So your skin is a little bit acidic. When you wash your whole body with soap, then it has to go back and put those ions out there in the skin to put that shield around you. So people, they shower way too much with the fluoridated water. You can get a little filter for that, so you're not breathing in the hot fluoride and chlorine. And but someone pointed out, if you're really worried about your blood being acidic, just hyperventilate, and it'll get real alkaline, too high, real quick. You'll pass out. You'll have alkaline blood. So the blood is just maintain real tight pH range there for the oxygen exchange with the cell. But the lymph system, that's the one that gets acidic. That's the one that you want it to be alkaline. That's where all disease starts in there. Your stomach acids, of course, that needs to be acidic to break down the food that you're eating. Humans don't even have strong enough stomach acid to break down flesh. So it's just another clue that that's not our natural diet, by any means. That catches your eye, though. Like in the book of Enoch, at one point it says, this wicked generation, is that addressed to us? It says in the beginning for a future one, and it kind of describes the Babylon, Sodom and Gomorrah, the stuff that's going on, and it's pretty familiar. But it says, it will kick you in the teeth. It's not that there's somebody that's going to come up and actually kick you in the teeth, but the system, Mother Nature's law, when you keep violating it, that's what it produces. I mean, I had a tooth fall out. Pieces of other teeth that were coming out from my bad behaviors. And Bible too says, bruise your heel going out there in the Babylonian system. Because it does. It hurts physically. Like, people come home and kick their feet up. So there are consequences from not following the law. It's just not always obvious. But over time, yeah, it's inviolable. You can break it in the short term, but there'll be hell to pay. The Constitution, your birthright, people want to be liberated from something. And then, it's the institution, or it's intuition. So it's the heart, it's the intuition of the heart. So that document itself looks pretty good. Is it working though? Really? Is it even what we're told that it is? Or is it a charter for a corporation? Because the government is it's a company, it's a corporation. You're interested in the SEC, go look up the other one, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and look at all the countries there. They're all businesses, and their main product is human capital. All those birth certificates, all those numbers, all those taxes, that's what they're in the business of, managing human resources. But why would it be that way? Would they write it out and then switch it right at the very beginning of all that so that you wouldn't break the law because you're looking at a piece of paper to tell you how to run your life? Is that breaking the law? Is that worshiping a false idol? So even the play out there reflects that it's pretend. It's all pretend. So that is just to help you until you learn to become your own government, right? You're not arguing about the so-called charter for this corporation that has a president, right? It's not a king. So, I mean, all that stuff out there, you're trying to find your identity, but pick wisely. Move slowly, because there's no real roles out there that you are really, right? It's just that Trinity. And from there, you're free. You're not a slave. And you don't need any of those cues to tell you how to run your life. And you don't make your own problems and your own fears. That's all. You're responsible for all that. That's a much better place to be, I would think. The schools, we're gearing up. Who's going to send their kids back to school? Probably the parents that want to go into the Babylon system, and they don't have time for that. What are they going to get at that school? It's going to be probably traumatizing. If you're a school teacher, you can still teach. Just do it through that screen, and stay at home with your children. What do you need? They need to learn anyway at these schools. They're not getting it. It's just not. Before it was the commerce with their friends, but now that's, snap, comes right up and just takes it out away from you. So use the screens to communicate, and then you don't have to leave your home. That's just stay home stuff isn't going away anytime soon. So just use those tools for the higher design. Why would that all be going on? It's to get everyone. I mean, the parents that say, "Hey, I'm going to stay home and hang out with my kids," and you can just teach them this. This is all you got to teach them. Teach them how to be a man, and take responsibility for your life. English is a evil trick to get us to say things that we don't mean. Yeah, it is from that level, but it's also perfectly designed to use. It's every little letter, little hieroglyph is not by accident, right? So uh, use it, learn to use it for effectiveness. That's the sword, stronger than the word. You don't need guns and all that. You just need to know what you are, and then through your swords, you'll protect it. I mean, it's fun to have a gun, but you can't. Who out there on the set where's that going to get you? Only to say, hey, lawbreaker, who's not a man, who's a child, coming up, hey, back off. That's all. Just back off. You don't want to be pulling the trigger on that one for anything. This is a wild story. When I was in college, this kid just disappeared, and then we could find him for a week. And then in the frat house, someone thought they heard mice behind the wall, and then it started smelling. And he was drunk and was on the roof, and he fell down into the chimney and got caught down there, and he couldn't speak. He couldn't call out the way his head was crammed in there, and so that's the way he died. He was a pretty wealthy, it was a big story up there. So just appreciate that the power of speech, and that's not to be taken lightly either. Like Max Egan's calling all these horrible names are coming out of him. That's his problem. He probably needs to be wearing a mask, because worried about what Prince Harry is doing to you in your life. That's a fool's game. So, what is what will be what's the new narrative going to be for your life, for all that? We know there's nothing new under the sun, but what is new? Only that free will. It can choose. That's the whole game. So we pick and choose what we want to feed with our intentions. It's just, there's still an awful lot of people that are projecting that the world's getting crazier and crazier, until someone said these are the good old days. They're always the good old days. The past was always better. You're always looking forward to the future will be something different. It never changes. Your free will, you pick and choose what works for you to put your life together. Mine's not going to be filled up with all that stuff. I know that, because you can't only do that so long. You can only say these things so many times until it's it becomes your new normal. That's the new Jerusalem. It's the new temple. William says, yeah, they're trying to sell these headphones on Facebook Market there, and a lot of views, but it's only like $20 or something. They're pretty nice. AKC, yeah. Came across just another girl, Rebecca Magic, Magick, and she's been making videos for like a year, but yeah, she gets it, that there's a bigger design. All that stuff that we were told as kids, but we questioned it. Maybe we were atheists for a while. It's becoming more obvious. The trick is just to allow that in. That's how powerful we are as God creators. So she's a good channel to check out. It's a little different techniques for different people that work with them, that they connect with, but it's all one message. That it's the king is returning, but it's coming through the only door that exists is in your mind. So yeah, I don't know what's coming up. Someone's like, "What'd you do for 4th of July?" I was like, "Nothing." Word, stayed in the air conditioner. Not stupid. It's freaking hot out there, man. I had this my first ride yesterday, picked the gal up. She's got her 2 young kids. She's yelling at them, cussing. I was like, That's not in the New Jerusalem. You don't treat your children like that. She went to some party store, and she was in there for over a half hour. But that guy I had met before told me the trick. Just keep driving around the parking lot. I drove like over 5 miles. That's how long she was in there. I was getting out, going like 60 miles around Easton. And then finally she called and she's, where are you? You know, like I was the one at fault, you know. I was like, where are you? I've been in there 45 minutes, for Christ's sakes. But I was close, I came up. And took her, all another far, some park or something. But, she wasn't there. Her bitch was, where am I? Like, I was supposed to be doing something for her. That's that child's way of going about life, right? She's a parent, and now here she is being a child to raise her children. So it's just reinforcing itself, that cycle. But we can solve all that now, because all that trauma and life recycled, you have the keys for that. It's no longer hidden from you. It's not a mystery anymore. You go down there and get it. Figure out what it is in you. If you think there is a problem with anything, that's pretty tough now. Like, you watch that shit show, everything's wrong with it. That's why. It's not. Maybe this is the time it just completely falls apart as people wake up, because it's just running off of our consciousness. So little by little, I'll put this one in some of those groups. Just get some eyeballs on it. I mean, that's how you build it. I don't really see if there's any other sort of game going on at this point. It's queuing on. We already covered all that. It's part of the system to assess. There is no right answer out on set. It's just opinions out there. That's why you can have different opinions. We can agree to disagree, but there's one truth, the one law of what we're watching and why. So that's our calling. It's just simply that, and give people the tools. That's what I'm here for. Help you, because you're me, and then you help me in the other life, right? That's what it's all supposed to be about. That's the human life cycle. It's a developmental cycle. I was just looking at my dissertation though, like, damn, there's a lot of like details in there. But I was questioning, evolution at that time, so I sort of changed the ending. Like, what was the, but I was still, as a, an evolutionist, I was looking for the answers to how this stuff is designed. So, that was a big piece of humble pie that I had to eat, icing on that one, like, because that was my whole career. If I would have gotten that job, that if that hadn't gotten messed up, I might still be teaching that we're monkeys on a spinning ball at this point. That's pretty contradictory. That your whole career path can be yanked out from in just like one web page. Like, hell, there's no. My spirit guys like just took me into another direction. That's why all that happened. I had to go back into all that data and just make something up, see what was in there. But it was pretty interesting what I discovered, because when that tribe got contacted in that period, there weren't a whole lot of people that survived, but the ones that did, in the males, they showed across all these measures. I was measuring all kinds of stuff, electrodes here, bioelectricity, all the other stuff, and but that little cohort of guys, they were like 11, that's when they start their puberty, a little bit later than us in the Western world. But they all showed that consistent dip in every measurement. So that's a key timing point in your developmental process, right? Is puberty. The body just gears up and then boom. But when they were doing that, they had to go, it was just all stressed. So that's why they were smaller. Every developmental thing in them was a dip. So that's how powerful stressing yourself out can be on your health. You know, there's no virus, there's no germs, but you can stress yourself into a bad place quick. So that's what we want to just be on alert for. Is guard that your court up there. It's where anything can ever happen. So you know, Charles Darwin, yeah, it's telling you a story, but from a child's level. But you know, we know what the real evolution is: your heart, and then now we have these new developmental stages of life that we weren't even aware of. That we actually get to be free and in control and not worried. Like that was the whole. It's in the design. So you know, if you're still in that game, in that academia, just give Charles Darwin, put him up where that stuff is dreamed up and evolved in the higher realms of the mind, as it's making all these creations. Give him a trusteeship up there, not down here. It's just embarrassing. The kids on the set down here. But yeah, I mean, seen it, the animals, they'll take the shape of the big animal, like the bird flocks. There's a bird. Flamingos on the beach, and they're all in the shape of a flamingo. So there's a higher place where that stuff is worked on. It's just not here. There's no evidence of that happening here on the set. So yeah, I said you'll hear this message soon from someone else. It's the only place you can go. All the kids are cramming in there, but it's the exact same message. You're just yelling at this stage. So there's going to be a few of us that are like stepping back, see the big picture. And so we just connect those dots, and just drop these little pieces on people who are suffering with these illusions. I had a couple great trips today and yesterday. Just letting it when there's no fear now, right? Like I used to think, well, maybe worried about saying something, but at this point, it's that truth it's undeniable. So, but yeah, people were like responding, like they're tired of being stressed too. Like they're tired of this shit show. They'll be looking for solutions. That's because we're doing it. That was like that meme, like God is in that existential crisis because it wants to get to know itself. It's ultimately interested in itself, in what it is. That's what we do here. And Joey said, well, what's it pushing against? It's always that same answer, itself. Nothing comes from nothing. So we're eternally interested to explore and have fun. That's our real birthright. No one's going to give that to you. That's not something you got because your country is the Constitution and all this nonsense. That's just that Declaration of Independence. That's for you you don't need that system to run your life. That's what all that stuff is. That's why none of it is really real. None of it works. It looks like it works, and it could in a way, but you'd have to have people who really know what they are, the real man on the stage. And then you switch it back to what it was sort of designed for, and then you could put an actual, beneficial person in there that was you, and then talk all this bullshit and double talk, and then things would get done, because it would be self-evident, not all this, everything's hidden, and so just transparent process. That's just way too complicated, right? So many new laws, everything passed every year. Just get rid of them, because you have the one law. You have your perfect blueprint designed for society, what it is supposed to be, what it can be. No one's different than anyone else. Everyone's here to help each other. That kind of stuff, So, good, everyone. William Cohen Cole, open a line of communication. Yeah, I've always said whatever you guys have any areas that you want to like work out or get into, more than happy. Mutual friends with Jill Waldman. Just send me a message. I'll get back to you. I got a big day tomorrow, moving to another apartment. So that was what I needed to do. I had manifesting problems in my life. It was like the calmer and the more in control I was getting, it was making my partner freak out. And I think that's just the way some relationships, that's what they're for. Like the way we got together, and I mean, she said something that I caught. Like her heart, we all know in our hearts, but the mind, you can tell a lot of stories to it. And she said, just don't. She said, be nice about it. And like, so some of us, she knows intuitively in her spirit that we were to learn from each other. It's just that whole how long people can be on this earth together. They're still going to die alone, right? Separate, because it's just a test. It's to learn and experience here. But it was just so easy. Like, it took me like 3 minutes. I was like, when do you want to move in? I'm like, to Monday? He's like, yeah. It's like, I was thinking of all this stuff that I would have to do, but no, just that easy. So I was thinking I had a problem, and just, no, I didn't. It was all in my mind. But, yeah, we'll see what the next magic day is, and keep going from there. You tell it, this shit show it knows how dumb it is. It's when we remember what it is, and it'll change subtly at first, but they know. Look in their eyes, like, look when they're doing their role, playing their parts, they're having fun because they're acting. Then you have fun when you're in this school play. You're up there, you got your costume on, and yeah, people are looking at you, and they're feeding off our louche. People, oh, it's demonic, and but they're you. You think it's a pan-demonic, and that's because you're afraid of that. But it's your choice. Why not say, hey, the cage is getting shook. That's a good thing. That means that there is a creator, obviously, a higher power, a higher intelligence to everything that's going on. That's the good news. And the better news is it's you, and we are it together to improve our lives and improve the world. So that's my message, and I will see you on the next one, everyone. Just big loves everywhere. Can't fight that heart. COVID. All right. Take care.